Make a car, motherfucker.
Yeah, you can't change your environment. We know that.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder what that cantaloupe was thinking when this guy was fucking it. I'm a cantaloupe.
Probably had a lot to say.
Don't get in the microwave.
Don't you know? Shame.
Big fuck. Shit.
That's some good pod talk right there.
It's true, man.
Chasing this poor little coyote around too.
If you do any serious drugs, like that's one of the thoughts about mushrooms is that mushrooms are actually from another planet and that they're a life form from another planet, and the only way that this life form can communicate with you is if you eat it. That's one of the thoughts, because we know that
I'm
Earth
sure
was
someone
seeded
came up with
life.
that thought after
they dropped the mushroom.
Yeah, after they ate the mushroom.
Well, it's also scientifically based, because what mushrooms are is psilocybin is 4-phosphoryloxy N-N-dimethyltryptamine, and it's apparently the only compound we know about in nature that has phosphorus in the 4 position. There's no other related compounds like it. And the idea is that spores come from asteroids, because we know that like amino acids and all sorts of like life supposedly was seeded from asteroid impacts on Earth. And the thought is that spores also came from another planet, and they are literally an alien life form that has landed here, created mushrooms. People eat these mushrooms and come into contact with these aliens.
Can you imagine just minutes ago we were talking about different ways to jerk off?
Yeah. I like that.
Well, you know, when
now
you're
you're
smart.
giving me the chemistry.
If you've eaten
chemical
mushrooms
makeup
before,
of mushroom.
one of the things that happens when you eat a lot of mushrooms is when the big, heavy mushroom experiences is like you're getting a lesson from something far more intelligent than you. I mean, literally, like you feel this connection to the world. You feel this, this real sense that everything is intertwined and interconnected. All your actions and all your energy and your thoughts, that it all like manifests itself in your daily life, and it's all this weird like an intelligence is communicating with you. That's what it feels like when you're on mushrooms.
That's fucked
Joe,
up.
if you keep talking like this, you're going to lose your job at UFC. This is
Not at all. Man. Not at all.
My
That's
job,
amazing.
I am the bridge between the meatheads and the potheads. That's what I'm here for.
I love that, man. That's a
what I'm
great
here for.
theory.
It's an interesting theory. You know,
Fuck yeah.
there's a guy named Terence McKenna that believes that human beings evolved from monkeys because they ate mushrooms, and it's based on climate. It's like a scientific theory based on, first of all, the doubling of the human brain size is like a giant mystery, because the human brain size doubled in a period of 2 million years. It's like the biggest mystery in the entire fossil record, and some people believe it's related to the throwing arm, that we figured out how to throw rocks at shit and kill things.
Yeah.
And that's what started this brains. And then also there's another theory that we ate a lot of protein, we were eating more protein, but that doesn't make sense, because tigers still have little fucking brains.
Yeah,
that's all
yeah.
they eat is protein. So his theory is that the primates, when the rainforest receded into grasslands, these primates, because when the environment changed, these primates had to change their diet. They started experimenting with other things, and one of the things they do is they flip over logs and things looking for beetles and grubs and worms to eat. Well, they flip over cow patties too. Like the baboons are observed doing that in Africa all the time, because like grubs and shit grow underneath them. But there's also these psilocybin mushrooms that grow in cow shit, and that they eat these mushrooms and then they have these insane experiences, and these mushrooms make these monkeys start being self-aware, and they start thinking about more things, and then they evolve. Also, the mushrooms, when you take them in low doses, they increase visual acuity, they make you see better, and they make you hornier. So you would have more efficient hunters because they could see better, hornier, so they'd fuck more and make also more monkeys that were also aware of the mushrooms, and this would like snowball, and the mushroom eating monkeys would be more intelligent than the rest of them, and they would evolve quicker. And this is his theory, that over a period of 2 million years, that's how human beings literally came out of lower hominids.
You know, you could get high just listening to Joe.
I feel like
I'm listening to Joe.
Contact buzz right now.
I swear I was getting high just listening to him.
Smoke.
If you ate mushrooms, it would all make sense.
No shit.
I think when
I bet it would.
I think when they eat mushrooms, they just see yellow or bananas.
Banana is so yellow.
Well, ancient cultures, that's one of the biggest things in ancient cultures is cattle worship. Cattle worship is, there's an ancient culture called Choctaw Hyuk. It's like one of the oldest known
speaking
civilizations.
Klingon.
Yeah. It's like 7,000, 8,000 years ago, and they worship cows. Fucking cattle
because
everywhere.
the
Because
stuff
the cow
comes in their
shit,
dung?
they would find they didn't have microscopes. They didn't know that spores
They
are
thought they were just
microscopic.
shitting out this magic stuff.
That's why
Secret to life.
there's a
Came out of
reason
a
why
cow.
in India everyone's fucking dying of starvation. They won't eat cows. It's because of mushrooms. Guaranteed. The root of it is the reason why cows are holy is because mushrooms shit and or mushrooms grow in cow shit, and they eat these mushrooms and they see God. So they think that mushrooms are coming from these cows.
From the
so these cows are
gummies.
like vehicles for God. God.
That's
For sure. That's
way
definitely where
better
it
than
comes
going
from.
to church on Sunday.
Why,
Right
why
there.
the
They
fuck
only
else?
knew.
Why the
That's
fuck
way
else would anyone
fucking better.
worship a stupid animal, a big dumb animal that creates giant shits? Why would you think that that's God? Why would you think that that's
And the
holy?
answer is right there in front
Yeah,
of you.
exactly. This is a direct connection. They have psilocybin mushrooms growing on them. You eat that, you have insane experiences.
It makes
Joe,
sense.
have you had one of those mushrooms?
No, never. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm just making shit up. Of course I have. Of
Yeah,
course
you
I-
have.
Of course.
Oh, jeez.
Joe's tried a lot of
Who
stuff.
the fuck hasn't? You haven't tried mushrooms. You ain't
Mushrooms
living,
are
son.
everywhere.
I haven't done mushrooms in a long fucking time.
I just bought some.
Ari's got it.
I didn't bring them to New York, but
Yeah, wink, wink.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no way we would
Make some
travel
cheese
with mushrooms.
sandwiches. Let's go old school.
Cheese sandwiches.
I used to like
Get out the
little
applesauce.
so horrible.
Chop it like a little mescaline.
Our problem
back
was
in
we
my
always
day.
Yeah.
had the
That made me
horrible
laugh.
cheese that we made the cheese sandwiches with
Well,
because we were
there's
so
a dude-
poor.
cheese to
There's
try
a
to
dude
cover
who
up.
got arrested recently. He was, I think it was called Bouncing Bear Botanicals, something like that. But his business was he was selling psychedelic plants that are legal. They were all legal, but it was like this weird loophole. Like you could buy the San Pedro cactus, and that's where mescaline's from. The peyote is from the San Pedro cactus, and you could buy them at fucking Walmart. Okay, it was a real cactus that will put you on Pluto. You know, but you know it's legal. So there's like this weird little loophole, and this dude was selling all these other plants that have like DMT in them and salvia and all these different things, and they just arrested this dude for distribution of
Yeah, I'm
weird
sure
shit.
they
And
figured some way
they
to get
took
him.
all his money away, so he doesn't have any fucking money for legal funds.
Yeah,
And
I'm
that's
sure
why they
they-
fuck you with
You
shit
know,
like that.
we should get Dr. Michu Kaku on the phone.
Why?
Because some of these fucking theories we throw it by Michu.
I don't.
unless,
Why
he's,
not?
unless he's had psychedelic experiences, that's out of his realm of understanding.
Yeah, but it would be.
He would understand.
Who's
He would know at
Michu
least
Kaku?
what
He would certainly
I
understand.
want the about the the pores
He's a
and
physicist. Sports.
spores. Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what they believe that life came from. They believe
Let's
that
get him on
life
the phone
come
if
from
he's
amino
around.
acids
Spores.
from outer space.
Try to
you
get
know?
him on the phone real fast. Why not?
That's what happens all the time. You know, big rocks slam into other rocks.
Yeah.
and-
And things mix together, and there's
That's one of the creepiest things about Earth is
food.
that Earth has been hit by planets before. You know, not just by like a rock. Like there's the motto of Earth is Earth 1 and Earth 2, and Earth 1 was an initial planet that got hit with another planet, and it created the moon.
Yeah.
Like it was so fucking big that it smashed us and made another planet that's a quarter the size of us.
How's it all round?
Oh, it spins, gravity, everything eventually rounds out. You know,
Hitting it.
I don't understand it, but it's
Yeah.
not. It's everything's not round like Uranus or Pluto or one. I think Pluto.
Yeah,
Pluto's not
Pluto's
round.
pretty fucking
Yeah.
thing.
That's true, but you don't see any square planets. There is something to be said for that.
Well, they start
no
out all
hexagons.
fucked up, but they eventually smooth
A
out.
sphere is the most, the easiest shape
All right. Well,
to hold. Because it's, you know.
Where are you getting this?
Especially like Jupiter is like
It's
a,
not like
mostly
a-
gas, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a sphere. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
big
it happens. That
spinning
gas swirls
atmosphere.
around and then it
And
coagulates.
gravity
Did you
is
see that
pulling equal
recent-
in all directions.
Recent asteroid impact that they didn't even know it was coming, and it slammed into Jupiter and made an Earth-size impact. Gigantic.
yeah. Shoemaker
recent one.
Levy?
No. Very recent, like within the last year. Another one they didn't see coming. An amateur astronomer in Australia pictured it. He was like staring at the images on his telescope of Jupiter, and all of a sudden there's this big fucking spot that wasn't there before. He's like, "Oh, look at this."
Yeah, we could get taken out any moment.
Yeah, well,
it
Jupiter
just whack
protects
the
us.
Earth and then it's
Yeah.
done. That's why I stay 1 month behind on my mortgage payment at all times.
Jupiter protects us. If it wasn't for Jupiter, we'd be fucked.
A lot of good. All the planets are, you know, without any one, it fucks up everybody else's little trip around the sun.
And they've all been fucking nailed. Every single one of them has
Yeah.
been nailed. I mean, they're always finding new impact craters on the Earth they didn't know
You ever
existed
see the
before.
Great Meteor Crater out there in Arizona? It's
Yeah.
like a mile across, and it's a fucking crater like you
Yeah.
see on the moon.
And it's nothing. I mean,
No.
the one
Yeah,
that
it's a
in
small
the
rock.
Yucatan, the 500-mile fucking wide impact crater that killed all the dinosaurs.
The fucking Gulf of Mexico
Yeah.
is supposedly a crater.
Yeah.
It's
That's the one that
just
killed the
fucking-
dinosaurs.
yeah.
And that's only one. That's a 65 million year one. There's another one 250 million years ago that's even bigger than that. Another mass extinction.
Yeah, and then that one broke up right over Siberia.
Yeah.
And just took out, like,
Tunguska.
everything.
Yeah.
Took out fucking everything.
Like 100 nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Just flattened forest and shit.
But no one was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no one was there.
Luckily.
So did anyone really hear it?
That shit could happen
Interesting.
anytime. There's always ones that we miss, and they fly between us and the moon, and nobody sees it
Yeah.
till it's too late. And it's like just a fucking civilization destroyer. Just one big rock that makes its fucking rub sticks together, start fires, huddled up in caves.
Bring it.
All over again.
God, I would
You
love
ready?
it.
Really?
I'm so ready for just
how
complete
many
anarchy.
bullets do you have?
A lot.
You're gonna need a lot.
I have
A lot of
I have a
lighters.
closet.
Nice.
I took a walk-in closet, and after got rid of the girlfriend, her walk-in closet turned into my armory. It's got magnetic locks on it, a separate alarm, and anytime I go to the gun store or the range, I usually buy twice the amount of ammo I fired at the range, and just keep stacking it.
Wow.
Keep stacking it.
Are you
Wow.
hoping for shit to go down?
Not hoping, but it wouldn't
Preparing.
bother me. At this point,
Right.
this fucking whole place has just gone to shit, so...
You know, people have
I'll play
always
the
felt
game.
that.
I'll come in. I'll work. I'll fucking pay my taxes. I'll do everything I'm supposed to do. But the second this machine breaks, oh, forget about it. Fucking, I'll put a brace on my leg and fucking, you need a rig that'll hold that tanker?
You put some stuff in your little fanny
Yes,
pack.
did I said, yeah. I'll be one of the first ones taken out. Who am I kidding?
You drop your
Do
gun
you
like
ever think
Fredo.
about being
Like
being off the
Fredo.
grid? Do you ever think about being off the grid? About being like
No,
having
I'm
a place
too-
out there
I'm too entrenched in the internet. Yeah.
But that's all going to be gone. If,
Yeah, yeah, it'll
if
all
it
be
all
gone.
falls. If it all
Well,
falls.
unless you have carbonite.com.
You know, that's one of the big
'cause they
theory-
even
What's
during an
that?
apocalypse. Well, it backs
back
up
up
your
all your
computer.
nice. It's important to have your data.
To sponsor.
You know, that's one of the big theories about civilization is that there's been massive cataclysmic disasters several times over history. And that's the reason why human beings are so advanced and we advance so quickly is that we're basically relearning things. That's like the reason why Machu Picchu and all these there's a bunch of different civilizations that they do not understand, like how they move these stones and got them into place. They don't know where they came from. And the idea is that civilization has existed for way longer than people think, not just 5, 6, 10,000 years, but hundreds of thousands of years. But that periodically we get hit by
It
meteors,
just gets
Yellowstone
wiped
blows
out.
up, there's some shit happens that just fucking kills like 80% of us, and the rest left are just retarded.
Yeah.
And we have no idea, and we just fuck, and we hope we stay alive, we live to be 30, and die off, and then it starts all over again. And that's one of the big theories. There's a guy named Graham Hancock who's got books, and he's dedicated his whole life to this, like showing that there's these advanced civilizations that created these structures that are virtually impossible to do with our technology.
But how
currently.
come the records aren't there? There aren't
wouldn't be any.
better
Gets me.
records.
There's
The
Of,
a
thing
guy
is, there
on
wouldn't
the
be any.
internet
What
that-
would be left of us if you went 30,000 years from now?
Okay.
Nothing. Your cell phone disappear, absorbed by the earth. Everything in the studio gone. What would be left? Stone.
I'm trying to think of
Not much.
some type
But
of.
I mean, fossils survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know how hard it is to make a fossil? You know, when you die, you're not making a fossil, stupid. You're going to die.
you just rot.
You're just going to rot and disappear. The way you have to get caught in a fucking mudslide under the right conditions, and most things don't fossilize.
Yeah, but no car fell into a tar pit.
Dude, cars would disappear. Cars would be gone.
Cars rot
would
away
be
in
gone in
junkyards.
1,000 years. Cars wouldn't
Yeah.
even last 1,000 years. They'd
They
be gone.
rust away.
Yeah.
So-
yeah, I had a 1970 fucking Barracuda that was falling apart, and it was only at the time it was not even 15 years old. You know, it was 1985.
They
it
never
was
found
falling
anything
apart.
like a crock pot. You think they would have found a crock pot?
They found things, but the things they found are all stone. You know, they've never found anything, you know, other than that, but nothing would exist. Nothing that we have would not be absorbed except stone. You know, stone buildings and stone constructions, they would stay. But
so
like,
then people would look at
you ever looked
certain
at Detroit?
monuments and just be like, wow, who made this and
Yeah,
where did it come from and how did they get this from point A to point B?
Well, I think there's a lot of structures like that out there that people just moved into. You know, they found them that, like you know, like the fucking pyramids. You know, there's a giant controversy about the dating of the pyramids. There's a guy named John Anthony West that has dedicated his entire life to trying to say that the Egyptian culture is tens of thousands of years older than conventional or paleontologists or archaeologists believe it is, and that he is like shown that he's brought in geologists to show that there's water erosion on the Sphinx that shows that the Sphinx has been weathered by thousands of years of rainfall. But the last time there was rainfall in the Nile Valley was 9,000 BC. So there's thousands of years before that. They believe that the pyramids were built somewhere around conventional thinking is 2500 BC, and this guy is saying it's like 9,000 years older than we think it is, and that's just where it might be. It's probably older than that because it's been rained on for thousands of years.
Hold that thought. We got Dr. Michio Kaku. He actually called us. This is awesome.
Fuck yeah.
Hey, doctor.
Hi, I'm right here.
All right, we got Joe Rogan in the studio. He's an amazing stand-up comic, but he also knows he has a lot of theories and stuff, and he threw a few at us, and we want to throw them at you now. So I'm just going to give you Joe Rogan for a minute or two.
What do you think about the? Do you believe that life and amino acids and stuff have come here from asteroids and that seeded the Earth?
Well, there is a panspermia theory that says that, the aliens are here already. Look in a mirror. You're seeing an alien in the mirror right now because we're made out of spores and DNA that landed from another part of the galaxy. Fred Hoyle, the cosmologist, believed in that theory. He said that very soon after the oceans formed, life gets started. And it just happened too quickly. There's not enough time to get DNA off the ground. So he thought it came from outer space. I'm not so sure. I think that, a volcano vent on the bottom of the ocean, they would have plenty of time to get DNA off the ground. But it is a legitimate area of dispute.
Is it possible that it's both, that not only have life existed because of volcano vents, but also because of, it comes from everywhere. It comes from Earth, and it also comes from outer space.
That's right. There's some people who think that life started multiple times on the Earth, and perhaps there are germs all around us, some of which came from outer space, some of which came from, indigenous forms. And, where are they? Maybe they're in your nose. Maybe they're in your lungs. They could be everywhere, hidden, and we have yet to scratch the DNA of all the germs on this planet. So there is a theory that says that some of the germs probably came from outer space, and some of them may have been homegrown on the planet Earth. We haven't analyzed all the germs yet.
That's why it's really spooky when they talk about taking a probe and putting it on Mars and then bringing it back.
Yeah.
Whoa,
that gets a little...
What are you bringing back with it?
What's coming home?
Yeah, tell them about the pyramids, too, there, Joe.
Oh, are you familiar with the work of John Hancock, or Graham Hancock, rather, or John Anthony West?
Well, I've heard some of it, based on erosions of the Sphinx and the pyramids, right?
Yeah, well, Ron Schock, the geologist from the university, Boston University, is the guy that has kind of spearheaded the geologist perspective of it, that there's thousands of years of erosion from rainfall on the Sphinx and the Sphinx enclosure.
It's hard to say because, 10,000 years ago, we had the Ice Age. And when the Ice Age melted, we had lots and lots of water that created the Great Salt Lakes, the Great Lakes near Michigan. A lot of the rainfall and the lakes of the earth were created after the Ice Age ended. So it's kind of hard to turn the videotape backwards to see what Egypt looked like at the end of the last Ice Age. So there could have been massive flooding in the area, which, sets the geologic time clock askew. Because of the melting of the glaciers and the formation of the Great Lakes.
Well, that's one of Graham Hancock's theories coincides with the end of the Ice Age, because the end of the Ice Age and the extinction of woolly mammoths and saber-toothed tigers came very abruptly. And there's actually, they've found dead bodies of woolly mammoths, thousands of them all in one area. And the idea is that something happened that created this mass extinction, maybe a meteor impact or something, and it also coincided with the abrupt ending of the Ice Age.
Well, it's hard to discount. However, I should point out that the earliest forms of writing, the earliest forms of science, the earliest forms of technology come from the Mesopotamian area.
Iraq, right?
And you can date them, again, till after the end of the Ice Age. So you would have to assume that civilization speeds up real fast in order to get the Sphinx and the pyramids to be built.
Right.
Most people would give it a much slower time frame, given the fact that it took time for primitive people to figure out how to use architecture and how to build stone monuments and things, because we were coming out of the Ice Age when we were like nomads, scrounging like a wolf pack.
Well, that's one of the interesting things about that area, Iraq, which is where Sumer was, which is the oldest known civilization, first written language, first mathematics, first astrology, astronomy. They had a detailed depiction of a solar system, including Pluto, which we didn't discover until 1970, and this is 6,000 years ago in Sumer.
Well, I would tend to doubt that they would get Pluto. The ancients didn't even get the Uranus, Neptune, and the outer planets. The ancients only got up to Saturn. And
well,
Pluto
no,
is even
there's an
difficult to see
actual
by
clay
telescope.
tablet. There's a clay tablet that depicts the sun, and it depicts the planets in the correct size and the correct orbit. You can find it online, and it's from 6,000 years ago from Sumer.
Yeah, well, again, it's a question of interpretation. People interpret these stone tablets in a lot of different ways. But, even modern telescopes have a difficult time seeing Pluto. You need the Hubble Space Telescope to get, even good glimpses of what Pluto may look
No,
like.
I agree with you, but this is a really obvious image. I mean, it's a sun, and there's spheres that surround the sun that are the exact same number as we have planets in our solar system, and they're the exact same size in the right order.
Well, I'll have to see it to believe it.
Yeah, it's pretty trippy.
Got onto the calendar very early because it meant that you knew when to plant the seeds, harvest. The calendar was very important for agricultural societies in order to know when to harvest the plants. But to go past to Pluto, when they didn't have telescopes, is kind of a stretch, I think.
Well, how about any planets when they didn't have telescopes? To look at to look at Mars and they didn't have telescopes is a big stretch, no? I mean, I'm not, look, this is all just...
It's quite red. You can see it in the ecliptic plane. You can see it tonight.
Yeah, you could see that there's something up there, but you can't see what orbit it is and where it surrounds and, what other planets are around it and Jupiter
all the planets lying in the ecliptic plane. So the ancients were pretty smart. They figured out that all the planets lie in a straight line that cuts across the southern sky called the ecliptic plane.
Yeah, but
so
to look at it without a telescope, and to figure out what size it is and where the orbit is, that sounds almost impossible, doesn't it? Sounds pretty crazy.
more
They
time
just didn't know the size of these things. They just knew the relative orientations and the angles of these various planets.
Do you have an
That's all
internet
the
connection?
ancients knew.
Do you have an internet connection right now? Are you online?
Pardon?
Are you online right now in front of us?
filming something.
No, I'm on a cell phone
Oh.
right now. We're filming sci-fi science for the Science Channel.
Oh. I would love
We're
you to
filming.
look at that image and see what you think of it. It's good. It's pretty trippy. It's really a star. It's a sun, and it shows these planets around it. Who knows what the fuck they did know?
There is a danger that Westerners put too much into indigenous cultures' accomplishments. For example, the Mayan calendar. I think that the Westerners have hijacked the Mayan calendar and created all this mythology that doesn't exist concerning the Mayan calendar. The Mayans did not know where the center of the Milky Way galaxy was. They didn't know the orientation of the Earth, so on and so forth, with respect to the galaxy. These are Western refinements imposed upon an indigenous culture's astronomy.
Yeah, I always thought that it's very interesting that people look to the Mayans to figure out when the end of civilization is going to come, when they couldn't even figure out when the end of their civilization would come. I mean, they disappeared over 1,000 years ago. Not only that, they were playing soccer with human heads.
Celebration. It was meant to be the beginning of a new cycle.
It's a new age,
It was
yeah.
meant to be celebration rather than doomsday.
So
The end of the long count.
Basically, Doctor, what you're saying basically is that the ancients were a bunch of boobs who got lucky with a few charts.
They did predict that
No,
movie.
the ancients were very good with their calendar. They were able to get out to Saturn. They had the eclipses correct. They were very, very good out to Saturn. But beyond Saturn, you needed a telescope.
What do you think about these ideas that all these ancient cultures talk about a previously existing, much more advanced civilization that was wiped out, like Atlantis, and they talk about it in Sumer and other civilization? What do you think about these people that think that there have been many different stages of humanity and that we've been wiped out by cataclysmic disasters and then had to rebuild?
Well, the flood mythology goes back to the tale of Gilgamesh, which goes back to the 27th century BC. It's perhaps the oldest epic story of all time, and it talks about a great flood, the search for immortality, the great flood, and this, of course, then takes us back to before the Bible. And many people think that perhaps the Bible's talking about the Great Flood comes from the tale of Gilgamesh. So, yeah, I mean, there are tales of these things. And also, if you go to the Caspian Sea, at the end of the Ice Age, there was a massive breakdown of one of the lakes after the end of the Ice Age, which could have created the legend mentioned in the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Right, but
So
it
that's
is
a
also
possibility.
possible that we have been almost wiped out many times in the past by giant meteor impacts and things of that such, right?
Well, if you take a look at the fact that all humans are almost all the same, any two monkeys are quite different, any two foxes are quite different. We are almost the same genetically speaking, which meant there was a bottleneck. About 70,000 years ago, some people think there was a volcano that erupted in Indonesia that wiped out most Homo sapiens, leaving only a few hundred to populate the entire Earth. So there is a theory that's pretty much accepted by many people in biotechnology, that only a few hundred people survived the cataclysm. We don't know what. Perhaps a volcano.
There's so many things that could jack us. That earthquake in Yellowstone that's had 2,000 fucking earthquakes over the last since January. There's a gigantic caldera volcano in Yellowstone National Park, 600 kilometers wide.
That's about to blow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it erupts on a scale of a few 100,000 years, and
600,000 to
we
800,000.
are overdue for another eruption.
Yeah.
There is a super volcano under Yellowstone,
and it's a continent
if it
killer,
erupted,
right?
It would it would rip the heart out of the United States if it erupted.
Wow.
It's a continent killer, like literally, it kills like everything. Gophers live.
That's why I have property in Canada.
And it's happened in the past.
Yeah.
It's not science fiction. It's happened in the past.
Yeah, every 600,000 to 800,000 years it blows. I mean, they only figured it out that it was a giant volcano really like within the last couple of decades, right? It was like satellite imagery, wasn't it?
Yeah, there are a few supervolcanoes that in principle could wipe out the United States. Yellowstone is one. Another one is in the Canary Islands. If an island there collapses, it'll set off a tsunami which will inundate most of the Northeast. And so these are very, very credible dangers that we have to worry about. But again, on a time scale of thousands of years. But it's something that, it does give you pause knowing that if Yellowstone blew up, it would rip the heart out of the United States of America.
It's, the way I look at it is like human beings are like, we live in an anthill. There's an anthill that's in the middle of a field, and the ants in the anthill, they've only lived for a couple weeks, and this is all they've ever known. The anthill's always been there.
Yeah.
And one day some little fat kid comes walking through the field and just stomps the shit out of that anthill. And you know what? It just happens. They never saw it coming, and life is forever changed.
Joe, you're hysterically funny. You're very bright. Listening to you, I just want to go home and weep. I just want to sit in a corner and just weep.
It just makes you appreciate the time that you have here.
Yeah, I love this stuff. The mushrooms.
Oh, by the way, can I say something?
Yeah.
It was mentioned to me that you had a discussion about a living planet, right? If you take a look at the movie Avatar, many people miss this. Sigourney Weaver warns the troopers in the movie Avatar that the planet is alive, that it has a central nervous system, and that's why everyone has a tail. The tail connects you to the central nervous system so you can upload.
Yeah.
You can upload and download with the planet. And that's how at the end of the movie, the planet is able to coordinate an attack against the Star Troopers. So here is an example of a living planet with the nervous system that is capable of coordinating an attack. Now, whether or not evolutionary biology allows this, of course, we can ask James Cameron if he thinks it's plausible. But it is a mechanism that they use in the movie Avatar to show how a planet could be alive.
Well, if you do mushrooms, the planet feels alive. Have you ever done mushrooms?
I can't hear. I'm either watching.
I love that.
That's the answer.
We were asking you if you've ever done mushrooms.
Well,
no.
Psychedelic mushrooms, they would help you so much.
I'm a physicist. I like to keep my head as clear as possible.
Oh, it'll clear it up.
Well, Joe's got a theory on cows and mushrooms.
Well, it's not really my theory, but there are theories that mushrooms are literally life forms that have psilocybin mushrooms that are life forms that have come here from another planet, like on an asteroid, and that's one of the reasons why they have this profound effect on human beings. That when you're eating them, you're really taking in some sort of an alien consciousness.
But if you sequence the DNA of the mushroom, you find that the proteins and the nucleic acids are the same ones that are found in your body. So believe it or not, you and a mushroom are made out of the same basic stuff.
It's very similar to brain chemistry. Well, mushrooms, with the compound in psilocybin mushrooms is very similar to actual human neurochemistry, right? The chemicals produced by the brain, the dimethyltryptamine is produced by the brain, and mushrooms are 4-foxphoroxy-NN dimethyltryptamine.
Well, the reason why psychedelic drugs work is because they're able to go past the blood-brain barrier, and they're able to set off the synapses between the neurons. So basically, you're short-circuiting the brain. So think of a computer, and you set off every single circuit inside the computer. You fry it, right? Well, that's cocaine. That's what drugs do. They basically either set off all the neurons simultaneously, giving you the high, or they can be a depressant like heroin. But, my personal point of view is, why do we have to get a high artificially when we can get a high on life? In life itself,
life can't get you as high as mushrooms. if you're doing something in life that's getting you as high as mushrooms, you need to write a book about it because it's not the same. But I understand what you're saying about heroin and cocaine. These are very destructive, but psychedelic compounds are very, very different than narcotic drugs. very different reactions to the body, very different reactions as far as like what you learn from them. When you have psychedelic experiences, they're very eye-opening, very, very awakening, and they're a lot of people believe that they're agents of evolution, that they actually help you evolve.
Well, my attitude is that we have virtual reality. That is, we can create artificial worlds, but afterwards we turn the computer off and go back to living again. It's like an amusement, entertainment, right? However, with the psychedelic drugs, you don't know what it does to the brain. It has remnants, it has lingering effects, and plus, it doesn't necessarily give you deeper insights into reality. It's just another reality. Now, I'm a physicist. I want to decode our reality. And to do that, my brain has to be as clear as possible in order to understand.
You're acting under the assumption that psychedelic drugs somehow do not make your brain clear or fog it up somehow or ruin it.
Well, I don't want my heart surgeon on mushrooms when he's walking into the room. That I can tell you.
That's a good call. But, mushrooms only last a few hours.
But remember, no great scientific principle discovered by somebody high on drugs.
Is that true? Didn't Crick, who was the guy that sequenced LSD, or the guy who was on LSD when he figured out DNA?
No, Francis Crick and James Watson were not on LSD.
Yeah, there's something online that you can read that about that.
But Joe,
he admitted that when he was dying.
No offense, but anybody online can.
In order to decipher the DNA molecule, it had nothing to do with drugs.
Well, there's something I don't have the story in the top of my head, but I do know that John Lilly. You know who John Lilly is? The guy who's a pioneer in interspecies communication. He did a lot of work on dolphin communication. Yeah, dolphins. He was a guy who did a lot of work with dolphins, dolphin communication, deciphering dolphin communication, and he was a big fan of acid. And he said that he used to Dr. Doolittle. He's John Lilly.
That's the point, right? If you're on acid, you can speak to anything you want. You can speak to the chair if you want.
Now we're talking.
Chair.
Maybe the chair is
no way. Not now, not ever.
But you're such a fascinating guy. You're so intelligent, and I'm a huge fan of your work, and I love watching your specials. I would love to get you high on mushrooms.
Okay, so, anyway, like I said, I'm a physicist. I like to be as clear as possible, discovering the secrets of the universe.
Well, let's let the good doctor go.
Yes.
He's in the middle of filming his
dude.
show. So.
When can we see the show?
It's coming out in winter. Right now we're talking about colonizing the galaxy. We have a whole program about what it would take to terraform Mars, what it would take to leave the Earth and leave the solar system and begin the colonization process of the Milky Way galaxy. Of course, centuries from now. But this is, of course, sci-fi science on the Science Channel.
Awesome.
Of course.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your insight, sir.
Thank you, Dr.
Very much
Cotto.
appreciated.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you for humoring us. Is what I want to
It's
say.
so ironic
terraforming.
that this guy doesn't do drugs because so many people do drugs and watch his show.
Yes.
I mean, that guy doesn't smoke pot. You know how many people smoke pot and watch that guy and go, fuck yeah, I love this dude. He's going to freak me out.
Would he be the big get to do drugs with?
Oh, yeah.
He's
If I
sitting there
had
with
a
you?
show, I wanted to do a show called Let's Do Mushrooms with Joe, where I just get famous people high on mushrooms. And just, when you're really blasted on mushrooms, you can't pretend to be anything other than who you are.
You ever Ustream on mushrooms?
No, never have. Always on the pot, but never on the mushrooms.
pot, right?
I love the when he's talking about things like what his show's going to be about, terraforming and stuff like that. It just reminds me of Paul Reiser in Aliens, pointing to the big machines, going, "We manufacture those, like so pompous. They're terraforming the fucking planet.
Reiser was
the company
best.
manufactures.
He was one of the best weasel douches ever in that movie.
I've never liked him in anything. And Aliens, he was such a fucking pricky weasel.
He was awesome.
Hey, kiddo, you got to get back on that horse.
How do you go from that to Mad About You?
I know. It was great.
I guess you got to get paid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But fuck,
Your agent calls you and says, "Here's the money."
How great would it be to have a guy like Kaku around all the time just to ask questions?
Just to ask questions.
We have
like
him.
Yeah.
He calls right in every time we ask.
He's in my building. He's in your building. Right?
Yeah, and he simplifies it a little bit. We make fun of that. But
Oh, he has to.
Yeah,
Otherwise
he knows he's talking to dummies.
baffled.
So. Matt in
Well, we
Jersey's
goof
got a
that all
question
the
for
time,
Joe
yeah.
Rogan. Matt.
Hey guys, what's up? Happy birthday, Jimmy.
Hi, fellas.
It's not Jimmy's birthday.
Hey Joe, I just got a question, man. You smoke a little weed, you take a little mushrooms, you sleep in a weird bathtub, and you got all these insights. But don't you think it's a little coincidental that we just happen to be the perfect distance from the sun? All these natural coincidences that are just awesome. Do you believe in God? Do you think they could be an act of God?
Well, I don't think it's a coincidence. I think life forms in the environment that it can form in. I mean, life forms at the bottom of the ocean in these volcanic vents that we didn't even know could support life. And they have all these little weird fucking creatures living around there. I think we adapt to the environment and we have evolved to be what we are. As far as
the other way around, I think.
Yeah. As far as whether there's a God or not, I am not smart enough to answer that question. Who the fuck knows? I don't think there's a guy in a robe in the clouds, but to think that there might be one gigantic thing that is all things, and that's much more plausible to me than this is all random. It's much more plausible to me that there's like a purpose that we're all moving towards. I mean, it seems, if you look at like human beings and you look at like our obsession with technology and innovation, it seems to me like we're moving and building towards an event. And it might very well be that bees make honey, and they make honey, they make, fucking beehives, and ants make anthills, and human beings make insane technology, that we literally create something that changes our world. I mean, that might be what's going on with the Large Hadron Collider. It used to be that we were obsessed with innovation because that can improve the quality of our life. Like, cavemen figured out if you put a pointy rock on the end of the stick, you can kill shit that's over there.
Yeah.
You don't have to run up to it and kill it with your face. You know what I mean? Like, that made life easier. Well, it might get to a certain point in time where, where we're at right now, the things that they're working on right now, the peak of science, has nothing to do, it's not going to trickle down. Particle physics and smashing atoms, that's not going to trickle down to your fucking cell phone. Like, they're working on some shit right now with the Large Hadron Collider and the experiments with time travel and stuff they're doing right now.
Yeah.
They're working on some shit that is just so beyond helping us. It's just, what can we do? Can I press this button?
Can
what
we
happens when I
bend
do this?
some space?
When they first blew up the first atomic bomb, there was a very real concern that it might kill the entire Earth because it would start a chain reaction that would blow up and it would eat up the entire atmosphere of the planet and kill everybody. And they said, well, what's about
But we
that?
had to give it a
Find out.
whirl anyway.
Let's try it.
I think that we...
Try it on the Japs.
I think we have this obsession. The reason why we have this obsession with technological innovation, and even the reason why we have an obsession with material items and new things, I think it's because we're supporting what the human organism as one gigantic superorganism is doing.
It's almost instinctual in us that we have to build things and make things, technology. I've said it. I said it just before. It's just amazing to me, and people take it for granted. You look around, and there's nothing that you can look at, no matter how technologically advanced it is and cool it is, that didn't just come out of the ground.
Yeah,
and
dirt
we
and
pulled
rocks
that
and
shit out. It didn't come
all
from
natural.
Nothing came from a fucking a TV factory in space that some aliens gave it. We had to figure out how to take dirt and wood from the trees,
silicon
and plants and sand and
plastics and
oil
and
all
turn
that,
into things,
and melt it and put it together and mix it and do that, and then you can make a television.
Yeah, how about you can make a fucking thing that you can shoot into the sky and it can take pictures of planets fucking millions of miles away flying through the solar system.
See, that to me is amazing.
I get amazed at my Easy Pass. I'm amazed at all of it. It's fucking incredible.
I think that we look at the behavior of other animals as natural. We look at the behavior of wolves. The wolf, the alpha forces the beta out, and the beta has to starve to death. We go, well, that's natural because you have to have strong genetics to survive in the wolf world. But we don't look at our world as natural. We don't look at our behavior as natural. I think it is.
I bitch about all the time. People try to put us so far above the animal world. We're just another fucking thing that's occupying space on the planet at this moment.
We're dressing it up. That's why
we are
wear
the
clothes,
animal world.
We're changing it.
Yeah.
I think that our behavior is natural, and that our lust and our obsession with material possessions and our obsession with technological innovation is completely natural.
It's not all natural. You've been to Camden, New Jersey? It's not natural.
That's natural too. You ever been to the Congo?
That's going back to the animal kingdom.
That's natural too.
Some crazy shit going on there, my friend.
Exactly.
I like that thought.
Yeah, I was born in Newark.
A lot of people saying you held your own with Dr. Kaku, so congratulations.
Of course.
Oh, there's no held my own. I mean,
Yeah, you
Jesus
held your
Christ,
own, brother.
Just asked him questions.
But
the picture of the solar system, he's completely wrong.
Dr.
It's not like to
Michio
say
Rogan.
that they're.
I don't
to
think
say
he
that,
saw it, though.
Yeah, he hasn't
In
seen
all
it.
fairness.
If he did see it, you would see it's a fucking sun.
Can we see it now?
Joe, where do you see it?
let's pull
Yeah, put it up.
Dr.
Where's
Steve
Dana?
hates Dr.
It's,
Kako.
Somebody find it. Look
Ira,
up.
work that computer
Someone
over
look
there.
up Sumer, Sumer. Look up the solar system image. image or something like that. Google that.
Don't you love how Dr.
Google it,
Steve
Google it,
hates
Google
Dr.
it.
Kako?
Dr. Steve.
Hates
can't
him.
stand
Who's
him.
Dr. Steve?
He makes
shitty wine.
Very
and
smart
he gives
dude.
us Ambien when
And
we
he's
want.
also got a big physics background.
Why does he hate
Dr. Kako is a physics hack.
He finds it to be a hack and a fucking idiot.
Really?
Who knew there were physics hacks?
Well, you know, there's a lot of debate in the physics community whether or not to even take any of this string theory seriously. Like a lot of people say they talk like cultists, and this is all nonsense, and none of it's proven. So there's a lot of weird shit going on with the whole string theory thing.
Let's go to DK. DK.
Hey, Bubba Boys.
What's up, DK?
I got two quick things. One, Rogan, you're fucking a genius, dude. I love you.
I'm not. Listen, I'm far from a genius. I'm a
but you know
pothead
what?
with free time.
But no, it's impressive how you spit out that shit like it's nothing.
That's because I'm a fucking retard. You try to ask me how to count. Already seen that. I'll fucking go to a check. I try to add 20%. And I freeze trying to count numbers.
There are a whole civilization dedicated to 20%.
I understand certain things.
But
I know
that
how
part
to,
of your brain is being used for
I
something
know the right
else, that's
position
all.
to put your arm to choke people unconscious. I know a few things that I've memorized.
All right, DK, what do you got?
I was wondering if he had actually like a list of the books he's read, if he's put them up on his website or anything.
Yeah, you should do that, Joe.
Well,
The other one is
all that shit about mushrooms, all that stuff is all Terence McKenna's theory, and there's a bunch of really good ones. The best one I think is Food of the Gods, but any of the old Terence McKenna books, the Invisible Landscape, there's a bunch of different books by McKenna that are all. McKenna was a genius who spent his entire life doing mushrooms and studying psychedelics and studying the idea that psychedelic drugs are literally agents of evolution, that they help you evolve, and that they are the reason why human beings have evolved from lower animals.
Joe, is there any part of you that thinks that maybe this guy's just fucking crazy?
No, because when you look, I know that I'm a very different person because of psychedelic experiences that I've had. They've made me very different.
But what I mean is, like, okay, so this guy does a lot of mushrooms and write the book. That's just, I mean, that's what happens when you do mushrooms. Weird shit comes out of your head.
It's not
that's
that
the point
simple.
of doing mushrooms.
He was
why
a
can't
scholar.
it be deeper than that?
But this guy is a
It might
scholar.
be.
He's not just a guy who did mushrooms. He's a guy that like studied archaeology and studied the history of, like he's gone into these indigenous cultures and taken ayahuasca with them and fucking traveled into spirit worlds with these shamans. I mean, it's a little bit deeper. I think we like to look at drugs as being something that wrecks your life and ruins you, which in most of the cases is true. But we throw this big blanket over all these compounds that affect your mind. We call them all drugs. They're all very different. Look, this is a fucking drug. I'm drinking coffee. Cigarettes are a drug. There's a lot of drugs.
Don't pick on
Not
my
all of
particular
them,
drug of choice.
I like it.
I think Vinny is pointing out that also one of the guys from Pink Floyd took acid in like 1965 or whatever and just never came back.
That is true. Let me tell you something. I had a DMT trip 3 years ago, and I haven't done it since because life got real slippery for like 2 weeks.
Slippery.
In what way?
Well, I did a big dose, and I had it was life-changing revelations, and I changed the way I think about people, the way I look at life, but after it was over, it was so mind-blowing. The thing about the DMT experience is that it happens in literally like 15, 20 seconds. Like you smoke it, and then it's like you get shot through a cannon to the middle of the universe.
What's
and then all of a sudden
DMT? I don't know what DMT is.
DMT is the most potent psychedelic drug known to man. It's called dimethyltryptamine, and it's made by your own brain. And the crazy thing about it is it exists all over the place. It's in a bunch of different plants. You can extract it from thousands of different plants all over the world, not just in one little island that you have to fucking travel to, and you gotta go to Borneo and fucking go into one part of the mountain. No, it's everywhere. It's in grass.
So, Joe, if it's in grass, right now, that to me would make me think that maybe grass thinks, but we can't communicate with grass. If it's in your brain too, that's the only part. And I've never done acid or mushrooms or pot.
Yeah,
Vinny
maybe.
sit outside and talk to grass.
Fucking who knows?
We're communicating with an ass.
That's you, Vinny. That's you.
Exactly.
I mean, we don't
Pile of
know.
weeds.
Take a dump so we can grow some mushrooms.
Just because the plants can't communicate with us doesn't mean they're not somehow or another consciousness, they don't have some sort of consciousness.
Wait, Joe, but I want to slow you down. The DMT thing.
Oh,
what
good.
did you learn that you're willing to share? That
Well, it's not. It's
fucking tripped
very
you out.
well. One thing that you feel first of all is that if this can happen so easily, and you can literally disappear so easily, and then you come right back, and when it happens, it's so fucking mind blowing, and it's so close. You smoke it, and you're there. I mean, and this is the same compound that your brain produces when you're going to die. The same compound your brain produces while you're sleeping.
Why would you do that?
Well, why would I smoke it? I want to see what happens. I mean, you're going to die no matter what. I want to. If there's something that allows you to take a peek over to the other side, hey, there's a little door. Look through it. You want to see God? Look through the door real quick.
Just try divorce. Get you there.
I don't think
How long
that's
does it take
gonna.
after you smoke it to kick in?
It takes 15, 20 seconds.
And what do you learn about
30 at the
people?
most. you learn about the way you interact with human beings, that it directly affects your own life. You learn that, you can spread as much positive energy. If you spread as much positive energy as you can, literally, you can affect people like a ripple. Like, the more loving and friendly and nice you are to people, the more loving and friendly your own life will be, and theirs as well. Like, you literally have a direct and profound effect about everyone you come in contact with.
But that was on DMT. You did that?
Yeah, I mean, you feel it like in a very literal, real sense. Like, they explain it to you, and the way I describe it is that DMT is like when you're communicating with what I describe as complex geometric patterns that are made out of love and understanding. Like, literally,
Holy
it's the most
shit.
profound. You feel so exposed, and you feel so full of shit, and you feel so everything. You feel just so foolish
Joe,
when you're
wouldn't
in this experience.
But wouldn't that affect different people different ways? Right?
No, that's the crazy thing about it. Everybody has the goddamn same experience. Not only do that, it's very difficult to discern because people describe it. But when they come back, they all say like really similar things. They all have like one of the things that people say is that these entities, whatever it is.
Sorry, Jimmy keeps looking back at Vinny Brown and just laughing at him.
I'm just listening to Joe, and I'm wondering what drug Vinny took to put those shitty high water jeans on.
He's just laughing at him, and Vinny's flipping Jimmy the bird, like, and Jimmy just keeps turning back and looking at him and totally fucking with him.
It's uncomfortable because he's looking right in the crotch area as well.
Stand up then, man.
Fucking
Let your balls breathe.
fucking white Pollock socks.
I like this.
You were talking about that guy from Pink Floyd, the guy from Pink Floyd that took acid and never
Name
came
was
back.
Sid, right?
Sid Barrett.
Is that what his name was? Yeah,
It was Sid, right?
Yeah, I think that definitely can happen. I think you could definitely blow your brains out, and especially with acid. Acid apparently is pretty abrasive.
Now, some of that stuff you were just talking about, are you into yoga?
Yeah, I do yoga.
The
all
yoga
the
and
time.
the meditation, you get some of that.
I think
some of that shit going on.
Yoga, what yoga is a way that people have devised to like use your body to relax it and to like take away a certain amount of stress and increase your understanding. Increase your connection with other people. Whenever I leave yoga class, I always feel so much nicer. Like just a nicer person, more relaxed, easier to. Whenever I had anything stressful, anything important, like a big gig that I have to do, or I'm going to tape a special, I always do yoga.
If you didn't have all these experiences with, your psycho drugs and your fucking yoga and everything, do you think you'd be an angry person? Do you think you'd have an anger problem? Are you an angry person?
Genetically,
yeah.
The way I grew up.
Yeah, we have to end the show this way today. Ira, say hi to Joe Rogan. Get on mic
Ira.
over there.
What happened?
Hi, Ira.
Good morning, Joe Rogan. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're going from Dr. Michio Kaku to Ira, Joe.
Who's Ira?
Ira, why don't you introduce yourself to Joe Rogan?
Joe,
Who are you?
I'm the weatherman for Jay Thomas.
Who's Jay Thomas?
Jay Thomas, he's on Sirius 108 and XM 139.
The lesson here is that this is a broad spectrum of human beings.
You can
broad
really,
spectrum.
and you can go from one to another in
Like that.
a split second.
Did you do too much acid at one time?
You ever do drugs, Ira?
Never.
Never?
Nothing?
Never.
Just high on life.
Why do you talk so slow?
And loud.
What do you
Break him down, Ari.
It's weird.
Break him down, Ari. Go for it. Take him. He's yours. Take him. It's a clean kill.
We'll give you a kitten next. If you want to,
What's his deal?
If you want to strangle a kitten, we'll let you do that too.
You got any retard babies I can hit with a rock?
You ever fuck a cantaloupe?
Never fucked a cantaloupe.
Oh, but Joe, he likes the hookers, right, Ira?
Yeah.
Oh, I love the hookers. If a hooker would call up right now, maybe I would go out with a hooker.
You'd like a hooker right now?
Oh, yes.
Do you use a service,
Yes.
or do you get them walking the streets, or do you go online? What do you do?
I meet them downtown someplace.
Time machine.
So you go and
Bobo.
get the street girls.
Somewhere nice.
He's just time machine Bobo.
Maybe a kosher deli.
Like the time machine.
He's a total ass.
Wow. Fascinating.
He's exactly like Bobo, only like if Bobo
If he survives that long, which
Blue
he
Oyster
never
Cult,
would.
Don't Fear the
Bobo
Reaper is playing
did
in my
not
head.
know nothing
No idea
whatsoever. I know more than Bobo will ever know.
Are you trying to be the president of the retards?
No.
All right.
yeah.
I got it too. All right, let's go. Let's go with this.
Got it?
Yes, I do.
Hit it.
Let's play a little Don't Fear the Reaper.
I don't know
for
why,
Ira.
but it's all connected somehow or another.
Ira, all right. I don't think you have
I want
anything
to get
else.
high on mushrooms.
You want to do some mushrooms today?
Anything else would imply that he's done something.
Well, listen.
Yeah.
Bobo wasn't that great. I'm greater than him. I am a legend.
Who has a bigger cock, you or Bobo?
Good question.
I got a bigger cock.
Let's see it.
You want to see it?
Ari wants to see it. I bet Ari's cock's bigger than yours. I bet Ari's balls are bigger than yours. For sure.
You want to have a ball off with Ari?
No,
Don't
not
be
right
scared.
now.
Oh, don't be scared. Don't be scared.
I'll put $100 down if you can beat Ari.
I got 200 on Ari. I'll give you 2 to 1 on the money.
Here
How
we
about
go.
that?
Ball length.
Here we go. I got.
How about that? How about you put up $10? I'll put up 100. How about that?
That's right. What do you think?
You can win $100 if your balls are bigger than ours.
You know, your name is my name spelled backwards. If that means anything, you're like my mixoplex.
Yeah, you guys are yin and yang.
This is Ari and
Misoplex, dude. You get fucking brownie points for using Misoplex.
No shit. This was meant to happen today.
Come on,
pull out your ball bag,
How
Ira.
about this? I'll give you 100 to 1 on the money. I'll give you 100 to 1 on the money. You put up $1, and if your balls are bigger than Ari's, we will give you $100.
My balls are bigger.
All right. Well, fucking. Right. If Ari does it first, will you feel comfortable?
If he does it first, I'll do it.
There you go.
All right. Let's get some money.
Here's $100. I just need to see a $1 bill from you,
Oh,
sir.
look at faggot Kenny peeking.
You know what? I'll trust. How about this? I'll trust.
Oh, we just found out what Kenny likes.
I'll trust that you have the $100.
Come on, open it up. Open it up.
Here it goes.
All right, this is.
Open it up. That sounds like he's talking to the hooker.
Yeah.
Open it up.
You gotta stretch your bag out first?
I have horrible
Leave the
balls.
shaft inside. I'm only bringing out the
Baby
balls.
thumbs.
You're only bringing out the balls?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
That's just one.
Ay,
Hold on.
ay, ay.
There's
Here
his
it
balls.
is, fellas.
Here we go.
All right, wait.
Here it is. Here it
He's
is.
gonna pull out his
Here
balls.
it is.
No, he's got gravity has been yanking on his balls for
That's
decades
true.
longer than yours.
Oh, look at this.
That's just your penis. That's just your dick. I'm gonna take that as a win.
Where's your balls?
You owe me $1, motherfucker. You don't even have
Some
balls.
sort of weird shame now. He just pulled out the smallest head I've ever
Oh,
seen.
yeah. His is bigger than mine.
Exactly. Give me $1. Give me $1. You had a chance to win
Not at
100.
all,
You owe me $1,
We can't
son.
hear you.
You know what? You can keep that $1. How about that?
Yeah. Buy
I'm just gonna
yourself a
I'm just
dick.
gonna take the big.
Anything else, Ira?
That's it.
That's all you got today?
Listen,
Yeah.
before I leave, I want to wish
Proclaim
Opie
before
and
he starts
Anthony a happy Easter. The show is wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you for showing us your cock.
And listen, if you want me to fill in a few times,
I despise
I will
his little
do
feet.
it.
I'd like you to fill in a cemetery hole. A fucking.
I despise you. So
You're the greatest. You're wonderful.
I loathe you.
All right.
I loathe you.
Wow.
All right. Thank you, Ira. We got to go back
Thank
to
you.
some.
Thank you.
Thanks for
You better not. You've had your fingers on your
That's the beautiful thing about this show.
Yeah.
Maybe
I had to do that to you.
Remember the last time I was here, remember when Marion Barry came in?
God, that was
Oh,
fun.
yeah, how's it going?
Good to see
They
you.
were they were mad that we dragged him in here.
We dragged him in. We were talking about him. He came in to defend himself.
It was fucking great that day.
That was the best. We talked to him about crack, and he's like, "No one went in that pipe."
He is the walking reason for anti-Semitism, by the way.
Ira.
It is just he is every stereotype. That is a poster in 1935 Germany.
Listen, I just want to tell you, you do a good job. Listen. I'm going to proclaim something.
Loves the hookers, huh?
Loves the hookers.
Apparently he
Supposedly.
does.
We don't even
Street
know.
hookers.
Oh, yeah. He goes
Yeah,
old
that's
school.
old school. Where do you even find a street hooker these days, Jim?
They're not around that much. You
That
gotta
was,
go on
what,
the
what's the most shocking thing about Hugh? A buddy of mine ran into a chick that he used to date. And she was a street hooker.
Really?
Yeah.
That would turn me on like
Gotta
a
be a
light.
tough life.
E-Rock, what do you got?
Ira's walking down the hallway and he does Jay Thomas's show with this other girl, Madison.
Right.
So he sees her in the hallway and he goes, "Hey, Madison." She's like, "Hi, Ira." And he goes, "I just showed my balls."
He didn't even show his balls.
What did he show?
He doesn't know what his balls are and what his dick is.
No, that was the head of his dick.
All right, let's go to Paul in Pittsburgh. Paul.
Not impressed either.
Hey, Hey, what's going on, boys?
Hi.
I wanted to ask Joe, have you heard of this JWH 018? It's supposed to be a synthetic marijuana that comes in powder form.
Is that also called K2?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, K2, K2 is like a herbal thing that's coated in that, but you can get just the straight JWH 018.
Yeah, I have heard of that. You know how like that Balco thing, they were doing steroids, and what they were doing was they were making a steroid that was not recognizable in the test because it was like one molecule different or somehow or another. They were engineering it. Well, they're doing the same thing with marijuana. They've made marijuana you can smoke and it has the exact same effects as marijuana, but it won't show up in a drug test.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried it?
No, I haven't. Well, I live in California, and you can get pot everywhere there, and it's basically legal. They just put it on the ballot for November. It's going to be legalization is going to be on the ballot.
And then
Straight ahead.
are they going to just sell it and tax it and fucking
Yeah, well,
get
that's
the
what they
state out
fucking
of,
should have done a long time ago.
They zone it though, right? You can't just buy it everywhere. They're
Well,
like cigarettes.
they zone it now. I mean, supposedly they're supposed to shut down a lot of these pot dispensaries because they're too close to schools and residences and all sorts of other things.
Does that ever really fucking matter if things are close to a school?
Maybe it does. I don't know. I don't mind as long as it's available somewhere. I don't mind.
Yeah, you're right. It's just some dumb
I don't
law.
think like, well, it can't be within such and such of a school. Like, who cares?
I do. I wouldn't want my fucking kid going to kindergarten and some douchebag's getting baked like right next door.
Well, don't get baked next door.
Kids,
buy your weed, but you know.
The problem with pot is the problem with society in general is 80% of the people are fucking retarded. And if you get 80% of the people high and then you go, oh, well, that's what potheads are like.
But you
Well, no, that's retards high.
You can have a CVS that sells liquor, like near a school, can't you?
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
What about booze,
man? You know, man, I know they were trying in Nassau County to put some law on the books that there couldn't be a gun store within a certain distance from a school or even school bus. And it's like a gun store isn't a school-like bus stop. They were trying to get this gun store shut down. And it's like, you don't buy a gun and then walk out of the gun store and just start, like shooting it up in the air like Yosemite Sam when you leave the place. That to me is just a cop-out thing that politicians use too much. It can't be close to a school. Wow.
Yeah, like you're going to shoot up a
Think
school.
about how many gun ranges there are and how many gun stores there are and how little crime occurs in these places.
Yeah.
You know?
Not only that law is designed to stop people from buying a gun and then go shooting up a school. If you're going to shoot up a school, the distance from the gun store isn't going to stop you.
Doesn't really make
I can't get all the way across town to do this.
It's ridiculous.
And strip clubs is another one. Now, you don't want a strip club right next door to the school, but when you say like 1,000 yards from a school, and the strip clubs are just not open during school hours. You know, when the kids get out, maybe they could go in and see the
The
day
town's not
stripper.
as good as the night.
They
but
get the
they're
day
open.
strippers.
Yeah, they
Unless
got
you're
the
in
day
Vegas.
strippers.
C-sections.
Unless you're in Vegas.
Yeah.
In Vegas, we went to the Spearmint Rhino at 9:30 a.m. on a Thursday, and it was mobbed.
Great as that.
It was mobbed. We had to wait to get seated.
Wow.
It was crazy. Couldn't believe it.
Thursday morning.
It was so gross. We were driving there, and it was me and my friend Tate, and we were in the car, and like the fucking the hot sun is hitting the windshield, and I'm like, I should be asleep. This is so
What
retarded.
am I doing?
Or at
It's
a
so
job
pathetic.
somewhere.
And when we got
Doing
there,
something industrious.
it's ridiculously packed.
Reading another theory about mescaline.
You're making fun of him?
Yeah.
Why are you making fun of him?
I don't. Joe
This is some
actually.
good talk. Sometimes you got to expand your brain and see maybe there's some other shit out there.
Joe impressed
I don't think
me.
you like
Very
to.
well read.
I don't think you'd like to see if there's other shit out there, Vinny.
No,
He
I
lives
do
in
listen to
Jersey.
this shit, but I don't. I don't necessarily want.
Some of the shit might just be right.
Listen,
who knows?
There's a reason why they put blinders on a horse. Okay, there's some shit they don't need to see. Just keep moving, stupid. Get on the track.
Straight.
Wow.
Do you
Just fucking
expand your
dead air
mind?
right there.
That was awesome.
How to ponder that
Not,
for a second.
no, I don't.
Yeah, Vinny's very different than Joe.
Yeah, I'm amazed though.
I like that. I like to think it's not just this horse shit that we're looking at every day. That there might be some different looks.
There's
out
a
there.
lot more.
Yeah,
There's a lot
I
more.
like to think that.
I like to think that too, but I don't necessarily want to dig into a pile of cow shit and eat something off of it to find out.
You don't have
That's-
to.
you ever
get
do
it from my
mushrooms?
friend
No.
who grows it in his closet.
I don't even know the difference between mushrooms and acid and.
Well, I don't know. I don't either, but
There's a lot of differences.
Joe, what's the difference? Is a LSD is a psychedelic,
Well,
right?
there's a bunch of psychedelics that affect your brain in different ways. There's salvia. There's the cactus, the mescaline. There's a bunch of different things that have a bunch of different.
And they're
effects.
all different.
They're all different. Yeah, it's the way people look at it is like it's like you're visiting different neighborhoods. And each one of them has a completely different feel, different vibe to it.
It's like drug Epcot. Every neighborhood's got a different thing.
I'll let that sit out there.
Sorry.
Wait, hold on.
I'm doing well right up to that point. Right up to that point.
Everyone was.
Right there, I
We
stepped on the
really
cliff.
haven't had any good bombs today.
That was a good one.
What is it fucking drug Epcot? I didn't like that you put a B in Epcot.
Thank you, Jim.
I want to hear fucking Kenny be a DJ.
Oh, you want to hear some of that? We are running out of show.